the issue of Biafra nationhood, which is an irreducible minimum. There is no running away from it. And so the people of Biafra must brace up to the challenges ahead. Some of the requirements that are expected of us have been met. Some of them not completely. Some of them we are still working towards achieving that. It is not a new thing for avoidance of doubt. It is part and parcel of what we are doing. It is part and parcel of what we've been doing before. But the issue is that we have never explained it the same way we are explaining it today. We are making efforts to sensitize the international community on the issue and on the imperative of restoring Biafra. And so our external responsibility is there. Internal responsibility is also there. And as we do the one of outside, that of external, we must also commit to the internal one as well. These are the processes that I mentioned about. People are expecting us to come up with a roadmap on how Biafra will be restored. People are expecting us to come up with what do I call it? Yeah, roadmap. They say this roadmap. Tell them step by step what you are going to do, how you are going to restore Biafra. You have to draw the map of Biafra and carry it on your head and keep going from place to place. You have to itemize the steps you are going to take, and then you carry it as a signpost in front of you and at the back of yourself and keep going around. What these people are looking for is different from what we are looking for. We are saying that we are restoring Biafra. What does that mean in our own case? Restoration of Biafra means to bring back Biafra how it was between 1967 and 1970. That is the meaning of restoration. To restore, to bring back, to revive what was there before that is no more there, or that is no more the way it was, back to normalcy, back to what it was. So I don't know what these people mean by roadmap when we are talking about restoring Biafra. Biafra was a state that was in existence. What we lost was our sovereignty. But the people of Biafra are still there. The surviving generations are still working strong and strong, and even stronger. All of us are witnesses to this. So what we need to do is to make a very strong demand on the fact that Biafra was wrongly robbed us. As a matter of fact, it can be argued that Biafrans are under occupation by the Nigerian state because Biafra was forcibly taken away from us. That is another side of the argument. But we are a people. Biafra was an adopted name. Let me put it that way. Because inside Biafra you have the nations that make up Biafra. That is a collective name with which the old Eastern region was known. Today, because of desperation, because of the criminal connivance of some individuals, a number of Biafran territories have been delineated, and communities living there have been uprooted and put into hostile communities as we speak today. And so we have the issue of balkanization of Biafran territory. But Biafrans still know whom they are today. And so I drew the attention of our people, we, not I, because we were together in this program, we drew the attention of our people on the issue of territory, which is also a requirement in international law. That for us to restore Biafra, the issue of the territory of Biafra must be sorted out. It is not a new thing. This is what IPOB has been doing right from time, but it is something that we must have to call a cardinal objective this time around, because almost everything, sensitization and all that, has been done. Nobody cannot claim that he doesn't know anything about Biafra. So those nitty-gritty, those issues that are remaining are the things that we are going to be focusing on as we do efforts to bring to the attention of the international community the killings, the maimings, the human rights abuses, the genocide, the crime against humanity being committed against our people. We also have to do something on the whole front. And Biafra has to be restored in accordance with the dictates of international law of self-determination. And that is the reason why we adhere to the principle of non-violence, but of course using civil disobedience to drive home our point. And so for people who are saying, oh, Biafra, IPOB is going to join Nigerian politics, they are just deliberately distorting facts. Because if you listen to our broadcast last time, you will understand that we were very clear in what we are saying. We must continue to remind our people of the requirements of international law, of us, that we must have to fulfill. The principle of statehood of Biafra. And for Biafra to be restored, there are 4 criteria, there are 4 requirements in international law, otherwise known as the declaratory requirement, declaratory theory, or the Montevideo Declaration of 1933. It requires that a state, as a person in international law, must have those requirements. And those requirements are, 1, that there must be a defined territory. There must be a defined Biafran territory. Where is this territory that we are looking for? The people of Biafra should be able to identify that territory, which is the Biafran territory. We have it already. We have it. The whole of the area they now call Southeast is the land of Biafra. No matter what anybody says, if they doubt us, let them put it through the democratic process of referendum and they will understand. The area that they now call South-South is also the land of Biafra because it was part of the old Eastern region. And so let nobody bring up the argument of saying, we are not part of that Biafra you are talking about and all that. Because the restoration effort is all about restoring Biafra to what it was before. Now, because we believe in democracy, because there has been the criminal delineation of boundaries, there has been the criminal uplifting of people who were in their natural environment into hostile territories. There is need for us to consult, and we are doing so as we speak, with the people of Biafra in different other territories, for them to agree across board that they are part of Biafra. So that is the issue of territory that we're talking about. There must be a defined territory. There is a territory of Biafra already in existence. Worst come to worst, what it will be is that it is either that territory increases as a result of more people joining Biafra, or that the territory decreases as a result of people saying, oh, we are not part of Biafra. But that does not invalidate the fact that we have Biafran territory. It is either that it is reduced or that it is increased. So let people not get themselves confused about this. We must all be conscious of it, because it is part of the requirements of international law that is imposed on us, and in fact on any other people that are seeking for the restoration of their lost sovereignty or for formation of a new state. The second requirement is that there must be a population, settled population. Settled population, of course, when you have territory, you have a people there. There must be a people that say that they are the people of Biafra and that they identify with the nation called Biafra. Today we have it. We have it, and nobody can say that we don't have it. Even if it is 5 people, even if there are 5 people, even if there are 10, as long as these people says we are the people of Biafra, there's nothing you can do about it. So let people not worry themselves about all this. But we needed to bring it to the attention of our people that what we are doing is in line with the dictates and requirements of international law. So the people of Biafra are in their millions today, and they are identifying themselves with things that they are known for. If you see a Biafran today, he or she has no doubt in his mind that he's a Biafran, for avoidance of doubt. So it doesn't matter the population. After all, Biafran territory is a home to millions of people, if not billions, that are larger than some countries in Europe and in the Scandinavians. So we must not worry ourselves. What we need to do is to organize our people, that the consciousness of these will be alive in their memories, that they will live up to this responsibility, or rather the consciousness that they are Biafrans and that they are a people. Not when this person is saying this one, another person is saying the other one. We need to know that until we come together and call ourselves the people of Biafra, of course, which IPOB is at the forefront of doing, we will be falling short of the requirements of international law. But thank God that we are on the right track in that. The third one, I think I will have to allow our guests on this program to say something, but let me just quickly run down this. The next program I'm going to do regarding this, I will bring in the issue of law-decided cases on statehood around the world. Every experience of a people that have fought for their independence, that have fought for creation of states, or that have created a new state for themselves, have been different. Experiences differ. It has never been the same. Therefore, that of the people of Biafra is also unique in their own way. And so some of these requirements may or may not apply to us. But they are basic minimum. A country, a state is not created in a vacuum. Independence is not gotten in a vacuum. There must be a territory having that independence. There must be a people championing for that independence. And the third one is government. There must be a government governing the territory. There must be a government making laws and policies for the people and to which the people pay allegiance to. There must be a government supported and put in place by the people. What is happening today in our own lifetime, in our own experience, is an aberration in Biafran territory. The contraption called Nigeria has been making every frantic effort to try to undermine what IPOB is doing. They sponsor the number of individuals to be casting aspersion on what we are doing. You have not, you don't need to worry yourselves about all this, because these are expected. All these distractions are expected. Nigeria has lost almost everything. Nigeria is just like a drowning case or individual looking for where they can cling on. When I said this thing last time, some roadside media, unfortunate media platforms on Facebook went on and said IPOB is going to join Nigerian politics. Where very clearly I made it abundantly clear that the Nigerian political system is corrupt, that the Nigerian political system does not work, it doesn't work for anyone, and that the political system in Nigeria, in fact, they don't have political system, because your PVC does not count, your vote does not count, and all that. And I was making reference to the fact that Biafran territory must be insulated from the Nigerian political influence, and that the people of Biafra must have the right to decide who is at the helm of affairs in Biafra land, not in Nigeria. I was making reference to the fact that the people of Biafra must have a say in what happens to them in Biafra land, either directly or indirectly. Either that those in government are doing the right thing for the people, or that the indigenous people of Biafra will indirectly force the hands of these people to do what the people want. If they say no, we say no. I make reference to the fact that the same effort, the same energy we are spending or applying to fight our external enemy must be maintained, but also directed as well to the home front. Because there are some agents of the zoo called Nigeria who are working night in, night out, day in, day out, month in, month out, year in, year out to undermine what we are doing. And so we are going to deploy the same method that we have used, civil disobedience method, to get what we want in Biafra land. If they want to go to the gutter, we go to the gutter. If they don't want it, then let them give us what we want. The policies that are being dished out for the people of Biafra must reflect their wishes. It's as simple as that. There is no other way of doing it. Otherwise, we will be hallucinating. They are using the fact that we say that we are not going to join the Nigerian politics and then trying to exclude our people. Trying to exclude the people and running down on their wishes and aspirations. So time has come when every effort will have to be directed against those who are in charge of political offices in Biafra land, that they must do what the people of Biafra want them to do. If they don't do it, then the people will go against them. I don't want to mention any specific things, but of course, we the people of Biafra have right to be represented, and we have the right for our wishes to be met in Biafra land. There's no other way of doing it. And so, it is either that the people in politics in Biafra land does what we want, or we force them to do that. We mount pressure on them to do that. Indigenous people of Biafra are a people, and the processes put in place are semi-government in nature. And so at the appropriate time, and when every consultation has been completed, we have a semi-government structure in place for avoidance of doubt. Let them go and twist it anyhow they like it, but at the appropriate time, the zoo will find out that they have run out of ideas, and there's nothing that they can do. Neighborhood by neighborhood, community by community, the people of Biafra must continue to organize themselves. If you have not joined IPOB family, join IPOB where you are. Very important. This family of IPOB is indivisible. But we also know that there are some bad eggs claiming to be members of IPOB. It is the responsibility of the conscientious men and women of this great family to stand up to them. The principle of Biafra restoration is anchored on justice, equity, and fairness, human rights, and fundamental freedom. You may not understand the import of all this, but it is exemplified, it is epitomized in the values that we share. Commonly among ourselves. The golden rule principles. If we know that thing that we want people to do to us, we have to do it to others. If we know those things that we don't want people to do against us, we shouldn't do it to others. It is our responsibility as a people to stand up to the bullies among us. Wherever we see them, we have to stand up against them. It is our responsibility to stand up to make sure that the right thing is done, because the world is looking at us. It is our responsibility to live up to our civic duties to the land of Biafra. In turn, the land of Biafra will favor us. We must stand up against any form of injustice wherever we see it, whether within or outside us. We must stand up against any form of discrimination. We must stand up against any form of injustice arising from individuals or groups using their position to undermine, to suppress others, or to victimize others. We must stand up to the fact that there are a number of people who are making complaints in different families, especially in Biafra land. We must stand up to the fact that justice must be served, especially on the cases of those who have said that they were wrongly maltreated. Their voices must be heard. The voice of everyone must be heard. That is the principle that we signed up for. And it doesn't matter if it is Uche Mefor that you have seen gone to the extent of doing all those things. Go after him. Do not keep quiet and die in silence. Anywhere you see evil around us or even inside us, stand up against it. Very important. I will, for a moment, go to the panelists that we have, Dr. Okado and Mazi. To say whatever they want to say. I have spoken for a while now, and I don't intend to continue. Of course, As we go on, we will be bringing in a number of other issues. Doctor, I'm handing over to you.
Thank you, my deputy, and thank you, my rep. Once more, I renew my greetings to our viewers and listeners. Certain structural roles and consolidation to Biafran territories, upland and riverine, for the process of operationalization and formalization of actions for the restoration of our nation. IPOB in its steering role must set the pace for this action. So as we can see, the steering role from the point of view of the action plan we are discussing about is a difficult role. I tried my best to break it down, or maybe to bring it to popular understanding. That's why I'm trying maybe to give definitions that should appear practical, however. That recalls my attention to a caption that I saw in one of the social media, worship media, anchored by Dr. Chidi from Canada this afternoon, few hours ago. The caption of the program was that Biafra is not an association. And there was communication directed to the young generation, whom appears to understand Biafra's main fact of association. So he went further to explain exactly what our deputy most of the time about the meaning of indigenous people of Biafra, that is a people. So we have to understand that. So let it be clear to everyone that IPOB's steering role is consequential, and IPOB accepts it with dishonor and privilege given to her by the people of Biafra, and they are quite optimistic to steer them to the right direction and to the final scope. My deputy, another point I would like to hammer on That might be very difficult, but help me, direct me in case because it's a very difficult issue or topic or term, I may say. I consider it to be restoration protocol. Please.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going on it now. Recall me if in due time, I think we shall.
They're saying, Doctor, sorry, they're saying that your vocabulary is very high, that you have to bring it down. So,
Okay,
but go ahead and let's see how it goes.
okay, my deb. I will try my best. But I am trying to say, in order to break down our action plan, considering the year in which we are, as our leader has pronounced already, in due time, it may be necessary for us to have a restoration protocol. What should or what I may call restoration guidelines, if we may leave that of protocol. But what should that refer? Definitely, the restoration protocol and guidelines will imply having a date and time and location
of certain events. Is that correct?
Of certain events, correct. It's indispensable. It has to be because remember, why date? You might ask why date and all these specifications. It's important because it's an event that will mark a turning point in the lives of millions of Biafra citizens and well-wishers. It's going to be a historic event, and for the world and for Biafrans, it's a worldwide celebration of democracy based upon freedom and justice. So in due time, we must have to, outline these guidelines or protocols. I think it's an implicate we shall be obliged to do that, because that's one of the processes to break down the action plan. And another important issue, my deputies, that it is time that we make it clear for Biafrans in general that this process of restoration, they owe the onus or the burden to prove it with a symbolic civic act, as likely or as may be instructed by our leadership. They must have to bear this in mind, that this restoration, the burden, the onus lies on them. The leadership will make pronunciation or instructions, but Biafran citizens should know that the onus lies on them.
There must be participatory exercise in some of those pronouncements.
There should be the protagonists. There should be protagonists. There must not be the protagonists. Any instruction or pronunciation given to them, there must be protagonists towards it. So it's important to bear this in mind, because I know why I'm trying to pinpoint it, because it appears that the abstract notions, just like many might say, we are directing to the leadership, give us order for me to defend myself even when I'm in danger. No. When you are in danger, you have to defend yourself. You don't have to wait for an order. Hello?
Now, doctor, let me, just 1 minute. I don't know whether it's appropriate to come in at this particular point in time or for you to finish. But okay, let me take that note. Let me take a note of it. Go ahead. There's something I needed to say. Go on.
Okay, my deputy. So, why am I saying this? And then, my deputy, allow me to make another important point. Another important point that we have to bear in mind is that triggering of our restoration is a short-term action. Triggering of our restoration is a long-term action. It's a short-term action. But building of a restored nation will be that of a long-term action. So we must have to distinguish between these two phases, because if we don't do that, we may be confusing issues. So triggering of our restoration is a short-term action. It's realistic, maybe as our leader says it, that is to be 2020. It's realistic. But we also have to remember that building of a restored nation is a long-term process. It's a long-term action. So it's important to understand this. Then the issue is that while breaking down the action plan, we must not neglect or undermine the indispensability of restoration processes and instruments, particularly the instruments.
Doctor, I'm sorry, people are still complaining. They say you have to go soft on your grammar. And so I'll recommend that you try, and if you throw one of the grammars, you try to substantiate or explain it, break it down with another lighter vocabulary.
Okay, my deputy. I'm sorry for that. But to be sincere, my deputy, it's a bit difficult also. But
Yes. Go ahead. Go
we are
ahead.
trying to practicalize certain issues. I think that's it. When I'm saying that triggering of our restoration, because remember, as I said, it's an action that will mark a turning point in our life of millions of Biafrans. It's not a child's play. We all have to understand that. And who is thinking? And it's a moment that we need to be very close to our leader, because it's a difficult moment. You can see even only the pronunciation he makes. You can see the attacks coming from here and there. So what I mean is that
It is our responsibility, principal servants, to bring it closer to the people
it's
by
important. It's very, very
by
important.
initiating certain processes that will make people to understand it.
It's very, very important, because the point is that, remember, as I said earlier, we must convince the international community. Let me give an instance. A mere statement of our leader is not sufficient to convince the international community. It's not sufficient. Even no matter
The actions
how,
of the people matter. What the
quite,
people
not
do matter.
quite.
What they
What
do
did it?
matters a
That's
lot.
and my deputy. That's the de facto. Is the meaning of the de facto. Is the de facto, the most put in fact, that their determination to have their freedom. So and then comes, this is the steering role, the captain role our leader is playing. They should understand that. So what I mean, all hands must be on deck. That's practically what I'm trying to say. And then so what I am trying to say is that
Everything, sorry, doctor, you just like everything we are doing has to be formalized. It's just like what we are saying about participation of the people. It means that people will take active role in asserting their right to self-determination by giving,
definitely,
by kind of, okay, let me put it this way. People should, as we have our meetings in different communities, in different places, people should be able to make public pronouncement, formalize their meetings, signing documents, and of course making it
the
available. These
instrument
are
is
some of
the
the things.
instrument.
Yeah, that is. I'm just trying to
Then
break it down, doctor,
yeah,
because not everybody understands what these instruments are making reference to
yeah,
is.
yeah. It's
Instrument
important, because
is he metal, or what you are calling instrument? Is it pen, or because
No, because my deputy, they will come into play. They will come into play mostly when we are to have confrontation with third parties. Because remember what we are playing, and it's not a matter for Nigerian politics. This is matter for international law and international politics. So
in the zoo, in the zoo, among the people of the contraption corner, they will even be thinking that you're talking about weapons, instruments, that kind of thing. So it's very important that you explain it very well and call it by its
I know
name.
that you and my rep is there. You know, I'm in a good hands. I made the invitation before I started, isn't it? I made the invitation that please call me back in case, you know. Please, I'm in a good hand. I know that. Please call me back. So what I am trying to say, my deputy and rep, is that we have to do these things because why it is a matter for Biafrans in general is that they owe a duty to actualize the pronouncement of our leader. They should bear this in mind. There is the Biafrans that owe the duty to actualize his pronouncement. He can't pronounce and actualize it. So let's understand this through this thing. So
The people will give it a teeth. The people will have to bite.
and ensure the compliance. Yes, they must enforce the pronouncement and ensure its compliance. So it's important, very, very important. So I don't know if I successfully come out from this, because
Yes, to a larger extent.
thank you very much. Let me proceed. It was
Yeah,
it was
but
a very
be conscious of time. You know, we didn't come out
okay,
that
my friend.
early, so
Okay,
that
my friend.
our American rep will also have an input.
Okay, I may even stop here. We shall have another time. Let me stop here and give him the
Or come
another.
back at some point.
That's all right. That's all right, my deputy. Thank you, my rep. So I hand over to you. I'm happy to have managed to come out from the.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
by implication, our people must be very conscious of what is going on. There are
No,
some
it's
people who are
important.
going about distracting what we are doing, trying to. They are of course paid agents of the zoo called Nigeria, or they are allies in Biafra land. Our
My
people
deputy,
in different communities must not be distracted. We must continue
my
to do what
deputy
we are doing.
it was the point that I wanted to hammer. That's on perfidious intellectuals. But let's leave it because we shall have another time for that.
No, it's
We
not another
move on.
time. You will come back maybe after the
Okay.
contribution of
Okay.
our
Thank you very
American
much, my.
rep.
Thank you very much, and thank you, my rep. I hand over to you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so very much. My role model, I will say thank you again for having me. And I would say to again, it's good afternoon from here to all Biafrans. Our leader is
Can,
listening.
can I just say something? If you have like your phone, if you are using your phone to listen to the broadcast, I think is better you turn it off. I don't know because there is an echo.
No, not from here.
Okay, it's better now. Go ahead.
Not from here. So what I was saying is, good afternoon from here to all Biafrans. Starting from our leader, wherever you are, I know you will listen to you a few hours ago and everything. Thank you, Mazi Mefor, for this program. And now, as I've always told you, this program will continue because we cannot just leave it alone for our leaders to come and make pronouncements and say a lot of things, and then we'll go back indoors and be watching. Okay, Igbo people, as far as we know, when you plant a yam, you have the obligations to fix the whether branches they call it or not. You don't let the leaves grow wild. You try to put it in order, and if you put it in order, that's how you have you will get a good yam. Otherwise, if you let the stem grow wild, grow out of hand, you know, your efforts are in vain. And part of this, the reason for this program is to try to put that stem in place so that we will continue to sojourn. There are so many things said here, and Deputy, I'll ask you again. You know, it's a lot of things that you said, and I'm not going to recall most of the things that I believe in the subsequent editions. When you bring in a point, it's important for us to say something on that, and then we'll move to the next discussion point, because you said a lot of things in an hour. So many things that you touched on.
Okay, so go ahead. I mean,
Yeah.
we have a lot of things to fragmentation of,
I honestly
you know.
speaking, because two things that I picked on at the initial introduction. It's one, you mentioned that the heart of this restoration project will never be allowed to see corruption. That alone can be discussed on an entire day. And then you talked about the processes, which my Secretary General was trying to bring to a clearer understanding to our viewers. Although I see a lot of comments commenting about the English and the vocabulary that it's using, but you know what? This is what it is. But what I'm going to do here is to tap on those two things and then maybe bring it a little bit low, you know, bring it a little bit common to our viewers. Now,
Yes,
this is
go
a
ahead.
project, and this project, I see it, and I've said it before, I see it as the I know a lot of people will say they are not Christians, but from my own perspective, I see it as the parable of the vineyard. And the parable of the vineyard, if you don't know about it, is about this man that has a big old farm, wanted to cultivate the farm, and he went out to hire people. He went out in the morning and hired people who are supposed to work in this farm. And the people he hired in the morning, when the owner saw that these people are not able to complete his target, he went out and hired another group of people. And he went out several times to hire different groups of laborers. And at each time he went out to hire, he will discuss with them and agree on a pay. And at the end of the day, he paid everybody accordingly and how they agreed on. Some of the people that came in the morning started grumbling and say, "Oh, you know, we've been here since morning. How come you are paying us just like people you just went out to hire at 3 o'clock?" And the owner of the vineyard said to them, "So, are you telling me now that I don't have the right to be generous as far as I want?" And in other words, he was trying to tell them that he has the right to pay anybody. And the thing is, the agreed payment. And in this situation of Biafra, one prize is restoration of Biafra. It doesn't matter when you come in. It doesn't matter if you get weary along the line. But this is what it is. And then Dr. Kado talked about the steering role. which is part of the processes. But I do want to beg us to understand, because I had a deputy say something about being in the forefront. I do want to beg us to understand that IPOB is the only group that is pursuing the restoration of Biafra. We don't have rivalries to assign the steering role or the forefront. IPOB is doing it alone. Thank God for our leader whom God gave the mantle, thought about it very well. And here we are talking about Biafra. And everything is going in place, regardless of people who are going and making color codes of zones in Biafra land and mapping out steps. Any person that is very reasonable will understand that this is not a question of step, because what we are fighting is a monster. So if you think it's a particular tactics with which you will fight this monster, then you are wrong. Because what happens is that if you go that route and the monster blocks that route, what are you going to do? And I'm so happy for what IPOB is doing so far. We don't have a color-coded roadmap, because we already know what we're fighting. If they come today, we change tactics. Did you not hear our leader the other day say we are now forgiving Ohaneze, and a lot of people get upset? For the meantime, let's give them a chance. Did you not hear him talk about working with the Odu? Did we start with Odu? So these are the things that is very clear example of tactics that we are going to use, and then already we can see that these tactics are yielding fruits. The zoo is crumbling. Just like a chicken, when you cut off the head of a chicken, what happens? That's when you see them very forceful to do their last deed on earth. And that's what you see the Nigerian government is doing. If I'm mistakenly calling the government the contraption, because there's no government. You see what is happening now. As much as we are planning on what to do, they are throwing all kinds of strategies. As you have seen now, the latest strategy is to show that they are good for stopping corruption. Corruption, they call it. They can't even pronounce it. Corruption. And that's how they started with a lot of other. They started with the woman they say is internal affairs, and how he distributed money for the COVID-19. They came to Magu, and then they went to NDDC, okay? And it's just a discussion point for the ignorant people in that contraption to be dancing on while the year is moving closer and closer to 21. Because once it goes into 2021, they are going to bring out their resources, their money they have stolen, and begin to share. Now, you're going to be hearing APC, PDP, APC, PDP, what do they call it? The card that they issues out. So, Biafrans needs to understand this. Biafrans needs to understand this. You look at so far what you have seen as probe. Is it not dramatic? Is it not shameful? When you're looking at fools that called themselves leaders of a nation. We saw them falling out. We saw people trying to break their jaw and probably remove the money they must have swallowed. We saw the one that was saying to somebody that is supposed to be presiding over his case that he's telling him that he's a mushy boy. And this is what we have, that he grew up in GRA and he was a two-time governor. You will see these things. And when I watch these things, very disgusted. Okay, so we need to understand what we are into. Now, that brings me in to the point of processes. From the English definition of processes, we know that is activity, procedure. Okay, we know that is action, operation, and that IPOB has to embark on in order for us to get to where we're going. Our leader came out the other day and talked about by the end of the year, if we work hard. But you know what people did? They left if we work hard. They are not saying it. Everybody is coming to the radio and calling him Messiah that he never asked them to call, and saying that Biafra is going to come this year. They have left out the very pivotal portion of his comment. Some goes in and lay down, and they don't help in any form because they believe that our leader does not need help. He's an ordained child of God, and therefore he doesn't get tired. They believe that he doesn't need help, and this is so sad, so sad. And it goes back to what I tell our people here, until we get out from the thinking of what they call the magical religion, thinking that after speaking in tongues or after encountering and fire, or when you call Amadioha, what is every Kenya or every body, or when you were gone, it got a lodge. Mobi Urum, Gayan, Nisi, Kokasiapa, I bet that about you for Kikadama. Biafra will come. That's magical religion. It doesn't happen. God in heaven says to us that prayer without works is dead.
Of course.
Prayer without works is dead. And you see people doing all manner of things, and you'll be wondering, what is the problem? How can people understand that we have to put in effort in what we're doing to make this a reality? Now, and I'm glad that our leader talked about this issue of people making videos now and talking about these clowns that from all their activities we know that they are not fighting for Biafra. Because if you are fighting for Biafra, I don't know why you are fighting Mazi. I don't know. I don't know. If you are fighting for Biafra, I don't know why you think that Mazi they cannot destroy your plan. And he never called your name. All he's doing with his family, IPOB. He doesn't talk about them, but every time they set up something, and people are sharing this thing, posting it on our forums and suffering us from deleting these garbages. I mean, they're posting. They are posting what one crazy doctor wrote about evil. They are posting what my good said. That one is God. They are posting all kinds of things. They write on something and want you to spend time reading these things, forgetting Because and I think that at this point in time, IPOB should know their budget. And it's going to be made clear if we want to stop all this ranting. Because people are not paying money, are coming and telling us that they are making payments. All this money made paid to our leaders, is spending money and everything. Now, these processes involve that when people make their monthly dues on time and send it to the appropriate quarters, at the end of the month, the appropriate quarters has to be transparent to tell the family where these money are being spent on. These are part of the formalization that you are talking about. Because when I'm here, I'm making things very practical. And it's not a big deal to make this thing. Because along the line of these chains of command, there are people that are pushing, I want to know. Just provide a kind of something that tells people this money goes to this goes to this. If this went to the media, this and that. We need that by now. So that when these people are running them, and this will save us the problem of bickering. Because some of this noise making comes from all these things. And everybody in their own area. One thing that makes you part of IPOB is again your monthly dues. And you shouldn't waste time to make that payment. And allow this money to go where it needs to go. Because up to tomorrow, our leaders have announced that we are going home by